today, Bill, you have taken over.
Over lies.
Unhappy Brian, I think he referred to himself.
He did, yes, I like
Unhappy
that.
Brian, and we are today, of course. We confirm or deny footy myths out there.
Right.
And one of them we got on the line now is one of the greats of the West Coast Eagles, one of the greatest players over their journey there, and premiership player, of course.
Glenn Jakovic, who you got on?
No.
Right, very close to
Very
Djokovic
next
on
door
that
to
front.
him on the half.
John Worsfold.
Just up a bit from John Worsfold. Guy McKenna, the great Louis McKenna. He's on the line. Go, Bluey.
Thanks, Billy. That's why those two blokes were half-decent players, because they got to play alongside me.
Exactly right, Louis. Hey, now we've got a myth buster here that we want you to confirm or deny.
No.
So here we go.
Here we go.
Is this true, Bluey, that in the 80s you were playing for the West Coast Eagles, halfback? We used to call him the Geiger counter, because
yes.
if he was on, West Coast were on. They'd win.
Yes.
And you're playing the Bombers out there at Windy Hill and getting a smashing.
And the Geiger counter was playing?
The Geiger counter was playing. And
Right.
playing, just going okay today, nothing really special.
Yep.
And John Todd was the superstar of Western Australian football. He's the coach of the team. And at halftime, he absolutely gave it to you, Guy. He said, because none of you have been picking up your man, especially you. And this is to you, Bluey, all right? McKenna, you're no different to anyone else in this joint. Bloody Terry Danaher is doing what he pleases. You go wherever he goes. If he goes forward, you go forward. If he goes back, you go back. If he comes off the bloody ground, you come off the bloody ground with him. And as legend has it, just in the third quarter, Terry Danaher gets dragged, taken off, and Bluey, the man we're about to talk to, being the smart ass he can be when he played a bit, he was very good at that, followed him off the ground and actually tried to sit next to him on the Essendon bench, tried to sit there. Then he sat on the West Coast bench. The only problem was no one went on. So for 5 minutes of this AFL game, for 5 minutes, West Coast were down to 17 men, while Bluey sat on the bench, as told by the coach, John Todd. Bluey, is that true?
Partially, Billy, as you often do, and hopefully Kraft will come on board as a sponsor of you, because there's a fair bit of mayo in that story. But not bad. It wasn't a bad get. But yeah, I'd have to say 50-50, mate. No, all that talk around Terry Danaher happened actually at quarter time, because that's how badly I was going. So he said that all to me. At half time, however, we had to follow our man. So it was actually Mickey Werner that went on to play for Sydney. I think it was my direct opponent at that stage, because I got taken off TD very quickly.
One of the big names.
And so, so as we had to follow him, so I actually started to find the footy a little bit and, start to get my hands on it a bit. Anyway, so they brought Mickey Werner off. Obviously, I'm not sure Sheeds already knew, but he would have had the place bugged at Windy Hill at that stage, so he would have heard everything at half time. So he's brought him off, so naturally I had to follow him on, and I'm running off towards the interchange gates, and I'm looking at Don Pike coming on with Peter Somerville. Peter Somerville, for those people that don't remember him, stands at about 205 centimetres, and Donny Pike's about 170 on a rack, I reckon. So I'm looking at that going, oh, geez, what do we do here? But no, the instructions are instructions, and suffice to say, into the third quarter, my humour levels weren't at the greatest level, so I thought, okay, well, he wants us to follow these blokes, so I actually took 2 steps towards the Essendon dugout following Mickey Werner, and I got this hand on my shoulder. It was Brian Douge, who was a very intellectual runner at the stage, and said, Bluey, where are you going? Thinking maybe I was concussed or something. I said, well, I'm following my opponent like Toddy wants us to do. And he said, that'll be enough of that, you smart ass. And so I went back and sat on the pine.
Bluey, you took yourself off the ground to make a point to the coach.
Well, no. Mickey Werner, Essendon runner, came out to sit here. He said, mate, interchange. Well, there wasn't interchange then, so I might have been doing half okay on this bloke, and so his message was to come off, and so I had to follow him. So he was coming off, I had to come off with him. So
were you down to 17 players?
Well, I think you're on the money there, because when Somerville was going on, he was going into the ruck. The ruckman was pushing forward. The forward was going to push up the hut, all that sort of stuff. So, but what it meant was Don Pike was basically going to ruck against Peter Somerville the next 10 rounds. And so I stood there doing the Porky Pig, of course. What do I do here? And suffice to say, I ended up walking off, and then there was a bit of confusion. Somerville went on, and Pikey's looking at that going, I think Andrew Lockyer then had to go and
in the ruck.
go into the ruck onto some of them. So,
well
very
done,
good,
Bill.
Bluey.
Well, I got there.
Well
kind
done,
of.
Bill.
Yes, yeah.
I like it. Righto, Bluey.
Got
Well,
you,
we
Bluey.
appreciate you jumping on. Thanks very much for that.
Oh, another one
pleasure,
done.
boys. Enjoy the
Well
afternoon.
done. Well done.
Oh, Brian's cracked it.
Cracked
Look at him.
him.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
cracked
Bill,
the sads
he
today.
does everything now.
Oh, Whispers. Oh, Whispers over there is
He does
not
everything. He's
happy.
sitting up there next to the liar.
Oh, yes. And Bristle.
What was I called? Bubble boy.
Barrel boy.
No, it wasn't.
Balloon boy.
Balloon boy.
Balloon boy and liar up here.